Right now, a massive wall of Arctic air is barreling toward every single province in Canada, and most people have no idea what is about to hit them. The polar vortex, that swirling mass of freezing air that normally stays locked above the North Pole, is collapsing. It is splitting apart as we speak. And when that happens, billions of cubic meters of minus 40-degree air get unleashed straight down into our backyards. This is not a normal cold snap. This could be the most intense stretch of winter Canada has seen in years, and I am going to walk you through exactly when it hits your city, how bad it gets, and what you need to do right now to stay safe. But here is what I need from you. Drop a comment right now with the name of your city. Tell me where you are watching from, because I am going to be responding with specific forecasts tailored to your area. The more specific you are, the better I can help you. Do that right now before you forget. Now stick with me through this entire forecast, because at the 5-minute mark, I am going to reveal which Canadian cities are facing the highest risk of a dangerous ice storm event this month, the kind that knocks out power to tens of thousands of homes. You do not want to miss that. So here is what is happening in the atmosphere. A confirmed sudden stratospheric warming event is tearing the polar vortex apart right around mid-February. Think of it like a dam breaking. When that vortex is strong, it keeps the Arctic cold bottled up where it belongs. But when it collapses, all that frigid air spills south like water through a crack. And there is a second factor making this worse. La Nina, the cooling pattern in the Pacific Ocean that has been shaping our winter all season, is fading. That means the jet stream has lost its guardrails. Cold air now has a wide open highway straight into the heart of Canada, and storm systems have more energy to work with when that Arctic air slams into moisture from the south. Put those two things together, and you have got a recipe for serious, sustained, dangerous winter weather from coast to coast. Let me break this down city by city so you know exactly what is coming for you. And do not skip ahead, because there are some surprises in here that caught even me off guard. Starting out west, Vancouver. You might think Vancouver gets off easy, and compared to the rest of the country, it does. Daytime highs are sitting around 5 degrees Celsius, overnight lows around 2 degrees. That sounds almost pleasant, right? Here is the twist. With that polar vortex collapse pushing cold air further south than usual, there is a real risk of that cold air sneaking down to sea level in the lower mainland. When Pacific moisture meets cold surface air, you do not get rain, you get snow. And we all know what happens when Vancouver gets snow. A few centimeters and the Lionsgate Bridge, the Alex Fraser, they turn into absolute parking lots. Traffic gridlocks from the North Shore to Surrey. BC ferries sailings to the island can get delayed or flat out canceled when the winds pick up. Vancouver is getting about 3 to 4 hours of sunshine a day right now. The rest is that classic West Coast gray. But on those rare clear days when the sun hits the snow-capped North Shore mountains against a blue sky, there is nowhere more beautiful in this country. Serious warning for anyone driving through the BC interior this month. The Coquihalla, Rogers Pass, Kicking Horse Pass, these mountain highways can go from manageable to whiteout conditions in under an hour. Heavy snowfall, zero visibility, black ice, avalanche risk. Check Drive BC before you leave, carry chains, and if the advisory says do not travel, please listen. No destination is worth your life. Now we head east to the prairies, and this is where winter stops playing around. If you live in Alberta, Saskatchewan, or Manitoba, you already know. There is nothing between you and the North Pole but flat open land and a barbed wire fence, and that fence is not doing much. Calgary. Sitting at the foot of the Rockies, daytime highs around minus 4 degrees Celsius, overnight lows around minus 13, but those are averages. With this polar vortex situation, Calgary could easily see nights where the temperature drops to minus 25 or minus 30. Factor in the wind chill and it feels like minus 40 or worse. Now, Calgary normally gets relief from Chinooks, those warm, dry winds that scream down off the Rockies and can send temperatures soaring by 20 or even 30 degrees in a matter of hours. But here's the problem. In a disrupted polar vortex pattern, with the jet stream shoved further south, the conditions that produce Chinooks may not be there. Calgarians might not get that relief this time around. Edmonton, one of the coldest major cities on the entire planet. Daytime highs around minus 6, overnight lows around minus 14 on average. But Edmonton is no stranger to nights in the minus 30 to minus 35 range. And with this atmospheric setup, those extremes are absolutely on the table. Everything is coated in packed snow and ice. Walking anywhere requires proper winter boots and a healthy respect for gravity. The good news is the days are getting longer. Edmonton is getting about 10 hours of daylight now, and every single day adds a couple more minutes. After the long, dark stretch of December and January, that extra light makes a real difference. Saskatchewan, Regina, and Saskatoon. This is where some of the harshest conditions in the entire country are hitting right now. Daytime highs in Regina hover around -8 to -10 degrees, overnight lows dropping to -18 to -22. Saskatoon is even colder, but it is not just the temperature, it is the wind. The wind on the Saskatchewan prairie is relentless, blowing across flat open fields with nothing to slow it down. Wind chill values can make it feel like -40 to -50. At those levels, exposed skin can get frostbitten in minutes. Even when it is not snowing, the wind picks up loose snow and drives it across highways, creating whiteout conditions. You cannot see the road, you cannot see the horizon, you cannot tell where the ground ends and the sky begins. If Environment Canada issues a blowing snow advisory, take it seriously. Winterpeg, the city that has earned that nickname 100 times over. Daytime highs around -10 to -12, overnight lows plunging to -20 to -24. Winnipeg sits at the junction of the Red River and the Assiniboine, essentially a funnel for Arctic air pouring down from Hudson Bay. Wind chill values of -40 to -50 are not uncommon here. At those levels, you need to limit your time outdoors to minutes, not hours. But Winnipeggers do not just survive winter, they embrace it. The Forks, where the two rivers meet, becomes one of the longest naturally frozen skating trails in the world. The ice is rock solid right now, and people are out there skating, walking, even fat biking along the river. Now here is what I promised you at the beginning. The cities facing the highest ice storm risk this month. Do not miss the next part because this directly affects millions of Canadians. Toronto, Canada's largest city, over 6 million people in the metro area, and it is right in the thick of a winter to remember. This past January, Toronto experienced a record-breaking snowfall day that made it the snowiest January ever recorded at Pearson Airport. Mid-February is showing no signs of letting up. Daytime highs hovering around -1 degree, overnight lows dropping to about -8. The coldest day statistically tends to fall around February 13th, when temperatures can dip to -10. Here is what makes Toronto dangerous right now. Lake Ontario. Cold Arctic air sweeps across that relatively warmer, unfrozen lake water, picks up moisture, and dumps heavy snow on the downwind shore. The TTC takes a beating during heavy snow events. Streetcars get stuck, buses run late, the subway gets delayed, and the 401, North America's busiest highway, becomes an absolute nightmare when heavy snow meets rush hour traffic. If you are commuting, give yourself way more time than you think you need. Ottawa, the nation's capital. Sitting in the Ottawa River Valley, noticeably colder than Toronto. Daytime highs only about -4, overnight lows dropping to -15. That demands full winter gear every single time you step outside. Heavy parka, toque, gloves, scarf, insulated waterproof boots. The Rideau Canal, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, transforms into the longest skating rink in the world each winter. Mid-February is prime time, but that wind whipping down the canal cuts right through you. Ottawa typically sees about 12 days with rain or snow in February, with around 58 millimeters of precipitation, most of it falling as snow. And here is the critical ice storm corridor, the Highway 401 and Autoroute 20 corridor connecting Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. This is one of Canada's most vital transportation arteries, and mid-February is when it is most vulnerable. Freezing rain along this corridor creates some of the most dangerous driving conditions imaginable. This is the ice storm zone I warned you about. If you live anywhere along this stretch, you need to have an emergency plan ready. Montreal, Canada's second largest city, deep in the grip of winter. Daytime highs about -3, overnight lows around -11. Factor in wind chill and it feels considerably colder. Montreal does have its secret weapon, though. The underground city, that vast network of tunnels connecting shopping centers, metro stations, office towers, and hotels. Hundreds of thousands of people use it every day to move through downtown without ever stepping into the bitter cold. But here is the alarming part. With the forecast pattern favoring a return to troughing in the east, the odds of major nor'easter snowstorms hitting Montreal from mid to late February are significantly elevated. Montreal's legendary snow-clearing operation, one of the largest in the world, runs around the clock. But even Montreal can get buried when a big one hits. Quebec City, a step colder than Montreal. Daytime highs around -5, overnights dropping to -15. The Carnaval de Quebec typically runs from late January into mid-February, and the bone-chilling cold is absolutely part of the experience. Snow blankets the heritage rooftops of the old city, piles up against the fortification walls, and clings to the turrets of the Chateau Frontenac. There is something undeniably magical about this city in winter, even when the cold is brutal. Now the Atlantic coast, and this is where things get wild. Halifax, right in the path of nor'easters tracking up the eastern seaboard. Daytime highs around 0, overnight lows around -6. But here is what makes Halifax so unpredictable. It sits right on the boundary between cold continental air and warmer, moisture-laden Atlantic air. Halifax regularly experiences rapid transitions between rain, sleet, freezing rain, and snow, sometimes all in the same day. Freezing rain is the one to watch. It coats roads, sidewalks, power lines, tree branches in a glaze of ice. It brings down power lines regularly. Nova Scotia power crews are on standby throughout mid-February because ice storms can knock out power to tens of thousands of customers in a single event. Newfoundland. St. John's is famously one of the snowiest, windiest, and wettest cities in all of Canada. A February nor'easter in St. John's can dump 30 to 50 centimeters of snow in a single event, with hurricane-force wind gusts creating drifts taller than a person. If you live in Atlantic Canada, you need to be ready. And do not forget Canada's North. In Whitehorse, Yukon, mid-February daytime highs hover around -10 to -15. Overnights dropping to -20 to -25. Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories is harsher. Daytime temps around -15 to -20, overnight lows plunging to -30 to -35. And in Iqaluit, Nunavut, up on Baffin Island, temperatures routinely sit between -25 and -35, with wind chill values hitting -45 to -50. At those levels, exposed skin freezes in under 2 minutes. But here is the beautiful trade-off. Mid-February, with its long, clear, dark nights, is one of the absolute best times to witness the northern lights. Curtains of green, purple, and pink dancing across the Arctic sky. If you ever get the chance to see it in person, do it. Now, a critical timing alert. Family Day falls on Monday, February 16th, and it is observed in Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and several other provinces. Millions of Canadians will be hitting the road for the long weekend. Given the disrupted polar vortex, travel conditions could be seriously impacted. The Ontario-Quebec corridor is the most vulnerable stretch, with snow, freezing rain, and poor road conditions all in play. On the prairies, the Trans-Canada faces extreme cold, blowing snow, and rapid visibility collapses. In BC, mountain highways can go from clear to impassable in alarmingly short order. If you are planning a family day road trip, check the forecast before you leave. Pack a winter emergency kit: blanket, flashlight, snacks, water, shovel, phone charger, candle, and matches. And if conditions are truly awful, consider postponing. No destination is worth risking your safety or your family's safety. Looking at the big picture, mid-February 2026 is expected to bring increased winter storm activity, especially in the east. The return of an eastern trough pattern sets up a favorable storm track for Texas lows and Colorado lows, systems that form in the south-central United States and track northeast, bringing heavy snow to the Great Lakes, Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. Across the country, February typically sees about 20 days with snow and average total snowfall around 37 centimeters. But given this year's conditions, actual totals could well exceed those averages, particularly in eastern Canada. Here's the silver lining, though. The days are getting longer, measurably, noticeably longer, right across the country. In Toronto, we are gaining about 2 to 3 minutes of daylight every single day. By the end of February, the city will have over an hour and 15 minutes more daylight than at the start of the month. In Calgary, the gain is even more dramatic, nearly an hour and 40 minutes over the course of February. The sun is climbing higher. On dark surfaces like rooftops and asphalt, you can see the snow starting to soften on sunny days, even when the air temperature is still below zero. The first whispers of spring. March is just around the corner, and the long-range outlook suggests it will be a transitional month. Milder air will begin pushing in from the west. We are not there yet, but we are getting closer every single day. So here is what I need you to do right now. First, drop that comment with your city so I can give you a targeted forecast. Second, share this with someone you care about who needs to see it, especially anyone planning to travel this month. And third, make sure you are following because tomorrow I am releasing an urgent update on a developing storm system that could bring the heaviest single-day snowfall event of the entire season to 3 major Canadian cities. I am not going to say which ones yet. You will have to come back to find out. Stay warm, stay safe, and remember, Canadian winters are tough, but